in Italy now we are facing a heavy emergency situation due to the COVID-19 epidemics that has led our country to shut down shops and workplaces, and we are living in a quarantine and isolated from social contacts, and this poses mothers to great stress. They are afraid about mostly anything. So we have some of the questions that the mothers pose to us, and we would like to have the opinion of Karleen Gribble, which is adjunct associate professor in the School of Nursing and Midwifery in the University of Western Sydney, and member of the International Interagency Collaboration in the Infant and Young Child Feeding in Emergencies core group. So, Karleen, mothers ask us why starting or keeping breastfeeding during an emergency, is it that important?
So we know that babies who are exclusively breastfed are protected from many infections. In this particular emergency, what we know of COVID-19 is that while babies can become infected with it, they don't seem to be becoming very sick from it. But the other infections that exist that babies are vulnerable to, other respiratory infections, gastroenteritis, all of those infections, breastfeeding protects them from those infections. So babies are much less likely to need medical treatment. They're much less likely to need to be hospitalised. And in this situation where health services are so overwhelmed, getting medical care for any reason can be very difficult. And so if you're able to protect your baby from getting sick from any other infection, then you are going to be in a much better place and your baby is going to be in a much better place.
Especially in this strange emergency we are facing, is it somewhat different from other emergencies? The fear of contagion on the one hand, the tension of the lockdown on the other, there's basically stress and also the fear that the contact between mother and child may be a source of contagion. So we were wondering, mothers were wondering whether there is some difference in this emergency with respect to other emergencies.
Every emergency is different, but in every emergency, breastfeeding is protective. And so in this emergency, mothers may be concerned that it's possible that they could give their baby COVID-19 infection through breastfeeding. What we know is that this virus hasn't been found in breast milk, so it doesn't appear that it can be transmitted through breastfeeding. It can be transmitted through close contact. And so if mothers are concerned that they could be infected with COVID-19 or with any other infection, then doing the things that we know to help prevent people being infected from one another, washing hands, coughing into a handkerchief or a tissue and throwing it away, those sorts of things are things that everybody's been told to do. And those are things that you should be doing anyway, whether you're breastfeeding or not, but that's what you should be doing. One of the things that I think is really important in this emergency, as it really is in all emergencies for mothers, is to know that breastfeeding actually helps them deal with the stress that they're facing. So the hormones that are involved with breastfeeding, prolactin, cholecystokinin, and oxytocin, all three of those hormones help mothers' own physiology not to be as reactive to stress. And because of that, it actually protects their babies. So what it means is that they may be in very stressful circumstances, but because they're breastfeeding, they actually feel the stress less than if they weren't. And that actually helps them to be responsive to their babies. Because the most important thing for babies in emergencies like this is that their caregivers are responsive to them and provide them with lots of love. because that protects their mental well-being. So the milk protects their physical well-being, and the impact of breastfeeding on the mothers protects the mental well-being of the child.